And welcome back to the Hot Lap. Yes, that is, if you don't know, Jessica Hawkins, Aston Martin's test driver. And she's set to become the first woman in almost 5 years since 2018 to test a Formula One car. Massive congratulations to her. We'll get into that in a bit. However, coming up on the show, we'll be looking at our 5-second penalties enough. Is that Red Bull car built around Verstappen? According to Perez Sr, it is. And McLaren targeting Aston Martin before that all-important Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Are they going to beat Aston Martin in the championship? But first, let's get into Jessica Hawkins. It was announced on Tuesday, this is from bbc.co.uk, but it's pretty much on all F1 news pages, that Hawkins completed 26 laps in their 2021 car at the Hungaroring near Budapest last Thursday. The Formula W Series racer, 28 years old, alternated in the car with their test and reserve driver Felipe Drugovich. She said, "It's taking me every bit of blood, sweat and tears to get here," says Hawkins. I've had to keep it a secret for months now, which was pretty hard. It's been absolutely worth it, and it's given me really valuable insight. Yes, I mean, absolute massive congratulations. However, not so much congratulations to the driver we're talking about. And our main subject of the day, as you can see here, if any of you watched the Japanese Grand Prix, that is Sergio Perez. That is a Haas. That is the Haas of Kevin Magnussen. What you might be able to tell is that they're about to hit each other. Perez pretty much T-bones him, and Alex Albon has come out and basically said that the penalty system in F1 isn't strict enough after Red Bull's driver Sergio Perez's woes continued at that Japanese Grand Prix. And as we know, Alex Albon had an issue with Sergio Perez in the Singapore Grand Prix when Perez basically butted him out of the way, causing Albon to pretty much hit the wall and then drive off. This is from planetf1.com. And as we say, on Verstappen's 13 victories. Wow, that is impressive, isn't it? For this season, that secured the Constructors' Championship, which we congratulated Red Bull for, very much so. But Perez suffered his first retirement of the year on what was well, it wasn't really his first retirement, wasn't it? I mean, Planet F1 just got that. Didn't he retire in Australia? But what was a difficult day at Suzuka. Perez under fire after this streak of on-track incidents. Yes, as you may know, he already had a 5-second penalty before this incident for overtaking under safety car conditions, and he was hit with another after this collision, as you can see in your screens, with Kevin Magnussen, and he retired before serving his penalty, but returned on the track for a handful of laps to serve a penalty that he hopefully won't have in Qatar, which many thought was against the spirit of those regulations and was not very nice for Red Bull. But fair play to them, thinking outside the box. But anyway, still stung by the events of Singapore, Albon, as we know, he was replaced by Perez at the end of the 2020 season in Red Bull. He revealed he had another close call with Perez at the hairpin himself before claiming that 5-second penalty. Now, according to motorsport.com, he said, "In turn 11, he did the same move again to me on track. I avoided it, and then he did it again to Kevin. I was behind him, so I had the best view of everyone." And I mean, it was really unfair on Albon, wasn't it? I mean, let's be honest. It was not good at all. As you can see, Albon's here. So clearly it's not really teaching the drivers anything because the penalties aren't strict enough. And he's basically saying that's 2 races in a row for Perez where he's received these 5-second penalties. He's clearly not learnt. But to be fair, how many times have we seen these 5-second penalties where you knock somebody off because they're hard to overtake, and then because you are fast, you get 5 seconds up the road, that 5-second penalty served, and they're still way ahead of you. George Russell, the Mercedes star though, and a director of the Grand Prix Drivers Association, otherwise known as the GPDA, he pointed to an incident of his own, his collision with Ferrari driver in 2022 at the United States Grand Prix at that first corner as evidence that the penalty threshold may require a rethink. Now, despite causing the pole sitter assigned to retire from the race, Russell escaped with only a 5-second penalty, went on to finish 5th, with the British driver acknowledging on reflection that his move merited a stiffer penalty. He said, "When I look at Austin last year, when I made a mistake with Carlos Sainz and I got a 5-second penalty for it, it was really drive-through worthy. It's difficult because we always say that we shouldn't judge the consequence of the incident, but sometimes you need to judge the consequence of the incident." Now, with Magnussen describing Perez as, well, a bleepy bleep, but, you know, there were a fair amount of bleeps after the race. Haas team principal Gunther Steiner also claimed it was a function of the pressure Perez is currently feeling as scrutiny surrounding his Red Bull seat. He said, I think obviously Checo can feel the pressure. You know which pressure he feels and these things happen. He already had a penalty before he hit us. I don't know exactly what he did under the yellow, but he did break the rules. And obviously some more pressure and these things happen. It's 5 seconds, but there's no consequence because he retired afterwards. I feel for Perez. He is under mass pressure, isn't he? At the Red Bull seat, but that's no excuse to start bumping people off the road, is it? Poor old Sergio. A lot of people are saying Red Bull aren't going to replace him, but at the end of the year. Having said that, it's a bit like the Logan Sargent, but not quite bad. Is he continues this? I mean, he's meant to be a world-class driver. He's in the best team. If this continues, surely Red Bull are gonna have to. It's only lucky, in a way, that Verstappen has been so dominant this year, and Red Bull has had such a good car that they've won the constructors, and they can pretty much win almost without Sergio Perez's help. But you imagine a close year like 2021, as close as that, Red Bull aren't winning that constructors championship, and it will be Red Bull's fault. And another example is Fernando Alonso, Aston Martin, Lance Stroll really holding them back. If Lance Stroll was a bit quicker, I don't think McLaren will be within a sniff of that Aston Martin. And as we know, McLaren are going to target Aston Martin, as you can see here on SkySportsF1.com. Ignore the driver tier list there. That's from my previous show. And if you want to see that driver tier list, that is our show that we did on Monday, where we ended up putting in a tier list from S to best to all the way down to D for, well, not very good. Let's be kind. We basically rated all the drivers for the Japanese Grand Prix. That was our previous video. I urge you to go see that. It's quite interesting. And I think if you like it, we're going to be doing it more and more often. But let's get into this McLaren thing. McLaren target Aston Martin in F1 Constructors' Championship after Lando Norris and Piastri double podium at Suzuka. This is from Sky Sports F1. Now, as we know, McLaren secured that awesome double podium. Oscar Piastri's first podium of the year, and they're targeting Aston Martin after that fantastic points. The Woking-based team are now 49 points behind Aston Martin in that battle for fourth, with 6 events remaining, and they've got momentum on their side after the upgrades have worked successfully on their car. They've been upgrading this car since Austria, if you remember how well it worked in Silverstone. Now, while McLaren on the up, Aston Martin have really struggled, as recently as Lance Stroll has failed to score since the summer break, and Fernando Alonso has just taken 4 points from the last 3 events. So, McLaren, Zach Brown, has pretty much said it's definitely doable. All we can do is be as competitive as we can every weekend. He said we have to chase down Fernando, which is never easy. You can never rule him out. We've got to have a couple of big points races like we did last weekend in Singapore, where maybe Aston don't get in the points. It's mathematically possible, but we have to keep on pushing, and that's all we can do. He went on to say the team is just doing a fantastic job executing week in, week out. We are trying to catch Red Bull. All we can do is chip a tenth at the time, but Max was pretty dominant. I think we will be strong at the race, so we'll keep pushing. Now, he concluded by saying, I feel confident as I can. We'll be pretty strong everywhere, but we know there'll be some tracks that favour your car more than others, and we are good in the high speed, which Qatar is. So we'll be strong there and not be, we'll be strong there and not be weak anywhere, which is good. So McLaren potentially looking to be once again the second fastest team going into that Qatar Grand Prix. But well, let's get into Sergio Perez, who maybe won't be as fast as McLaren at Qatar, but I hope he is. I hope, as I said yesterday, I hope he brings the fight to Max to make it an entertaining end of year. But Sergio Perez's father, Antonio Perez, has claimed that Red Bull's RB19 is built to favour Max Verstappen. This is from gpfans.com by Matthew Hobkinson. Now, all season, as we know, Perez has pretty much struggled, barring a couple of races, to maintain that speed with the Dutchman. often looking, though, as he is driving an entirely different car, it says. Now, a claim this has been dismissed by those at Red Bull, yet it's not part stop Perez's father from insisting that his son has had to adapt to suit Verstappen's driving style, owing to the car's setup being in favour of this two-time world champion. Now, speaking to the Mexican outlet Aston, the 65-year-old insisted that Red Bull have geared the car to favour Verstappen. He said, Checo continues to struggle with the car in something that we have not yet detected. He went on to say the car is set for Max. Max drives with all the grip on the front, and Checo has driven all his life, and all the time he has driven with the grip in the back. So today, Checo has to adapt to driving a car, and Max doesn't. He went on to say the whole thing is built for Max. He said the position Checo Perez is in the Drivers' Championship is the one for which he was hired, second place, he added. There is only one place to be a champion. Checo has to work, he has to earn it. This whole thing has been built for Max to be there. When Checo finished in 10th place, it was a source of pride for us that he won a point, he added. Today, he ends in second place, and we get angry. We want him to be first. The only thing I can tell you is that Mexico is going to have an F1 world champion, and also this weekend was the second time that Checo is F1 champion in the Constructors. So yeah, he's basically saying well done. Checo helped with the Constructors Championship. I think the whole world would like Checo Perez, this guy here, to beat Max, legit, and have a decent fight, because there's obviously concerns going into next year. If Red Bull keep Sergio Perez, will it be another boring season if no one can challenge? Yes, Perez, he needs to up his game. I think, though, given that, if he's happy with the car, we know he's as fast as Max. He's had times when he has been as fast as Max, but something's obviously changed, whether it's his confidence, overthinking, overdriving. Something has changed. I don't think, given a fair situation, Perez is half a second behind Max Verstappen. But it's very much, Vettel at Red Bull and Mark Webber. It seems kind of like a similar situation to that, even though Webber was a lot closer to Vettel than obviously Perez is to Max. Let's hope in the coming races that Perez is a lot closer. We get racing between the two of them, and we won't be having this conversation after Qatar. Fingers crossed, eh? Let's hope so. Anyway, this has been the Hot Lap. We will speak to you again soon. Thank you very much. If you made it to the end, big props to you. If you like, amazing. If you subscribe, amazing. But just simply making it to the end, or simply watching it and listening to these words is also more than enough for me. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.